In the heart of a vibrant African village, amidst rolling green hills and golden savannas, lived a young man named Zayn. Born into wealth and prestige, Zayn was the son of a renowned merchant. His charm and striking good looks made him the object of many women's affections, yet he remained uninterested in settling down. Zayn's nights were filled with fleeting romances and extravagant escapades in luxurious hotels, but beneath this frivolity lay a man deeply committed to protecting his family's impeccable reputation. Meanwhile, in a modest part of the village, lived Teta. Her life was a stark contrast to Zayn's opulence. Teta lived with her ailing mother, and her days were spent in hard labor to provide for her mother's medical needs. She worked as a housegirl in Zayn's family mansion, where the money she earned barely sufficed, but it was her only hope to keep her mother alive. Zayn, who had been living abroad, returned to the family mansion one fateful day. His return was celebrated with great fanfare. This time, something felt different. Change was in the air. As Zayn settled back into his life, he noticed Teta for the first time. Her grace and dedication caught his eye, and an inexplicable interest began to grow within him. Zayn's curiosity grew stronger as he watched Teta move about her daily tasks with quiet efficiency. She was unlike anyone he had ever known. Teta's presence in the household became a subtle yet persistent distraction for Zayn. Couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her story. Something deeper that connected them beyond the surface of their vastly different lives. Zayn's admiration for Teta continued to grow, and he found himself looking for opportunities to engage with her. Their paths crossed more frequently, and each interaction left Zayn wanting to know more about this intriguing young woman. Unbeknownst to Zayn, his growing interest in Teta was setting the stage for a series of events that would forever alter the course of their lives. The first conversation between Zayn and Teta was brief but impactful. Zayn found himself drawn to her simplicity and poise. One evening, as Teta was tending to the flowers in the garden, Zayn approached her. "These flowers look beautiful, just like you," he said, trying to start a conversation. Teta blushed, surprised by his attention. "Thank you, sir," she replied, her voice soft and respectful. Despite her initial reluctance, Teta's presence became a quiet fascination for Zayn. He began to observe her more closely, admiring her dedication and the care she showed in her work. Zayn's friend Femi noticed the change. Dane, who used to revel in nightlife, now rushed home early, intrigued by Teta's disciplined nature. "You seem different, Zayn," Femi remarked one day. "What's going on?" Zayn shrugged, trying to play it off. "Just busy with family matters," replied, but his thoughts were filled with Teta. Nia, a beautiful and wealthy young woman from a neighboring family, had always envisioned herself as Zayn's future wife. Their families had long hoped for their union. Nia's visits to Zayn's mansion were frequent, and she soon grew jealous of the attention Zayn paid to Teta. Oblivious to Zayn's growing feelings, Teta saw him merely as her employer's son. She treated him with the same respect she showed everyone else, unaware of the effect she had on him. One evening, unable to keep his feelings hidden any longer, Zayn decided to confess. He found Teta in the kitchen, preparing dinner. "Teta, can we talk?" he asked, his voice gentle but firm. Teta looked up, surprised. "Of course, sir," she replied. Zayn took a deep breath. "I think I'm falling in love with you," he said earnestly. Teta, taken aback, refused. "We are from different worlds, Zayn. This can never be," she replied, heart pounding. Undeterred, Zayn persisted. He tried to win her over with his sincerity, but Teta remained firm, convinced that their worlds were too different. Despite her refusals, Zayn's determination only grew stronger. He was determined to show Teta that their love could overcome any obstacle. As the days passed, he continued to seek her out, hoping to change her mind. Despite Teta's rejections, Zayn found ways to spend time with her. He admired her hard work and dedication to her mother. Zayn's fascination with Teta grew stronger, and he often found himself thinking about her. One afternoon, Zayn noticed Teta struggling with a heavy load of groceries. He rushed to her aid. "Let me help you with that," he offered, taking the bags from her hands. Teta looked at him, surprised, grateful. "Thank you, sir," she said softly. As they walked together to the kitchen, Zayn struck up a conversation. "How is your mother doing?" he asked, genuinely concerned. Teta's eyes softened at the mention of her mother. "She's not well, but I'm doing my best to take care of her," she replied. Zayn felt a pang of sympathy and admiration for Teta's strength and resilience. He wanted to do more to help her, to ease her burdens in any way he could. One day, Zayn found Teta in the garden, tending to the flowers. Joined her, kneeling beside her. "These flowers look beautiful, just like you," he said with a smile. Teta blushed, looking down at her hands. "Thank you, sir," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. They spent the next hour working side by side, sharing stories and laughter. Zayn shared tales of his travels and adventures abroad, while Teta spoke of her mother's illness and the struggles they faced. Naya, sensing Zayn's growing affection for Teta, became increasingly jealous and determined to win Zayn's heart. She visited Zayn more frequently, trying to remind him of their childhood bond and the future their families had planned for them. However, Zayn's heart was already drifting away from Nia and towards Teta. Zayn's efforts to get closer to Teta were met with subtle resistance, but he remained undeterred. He was convinced that their connection was real, and that they could overcome the barriers between them. As the days passed, Zayn's affection for Teta only grew. He resolved to make her see the depth of his love. He believed that with time, Teta would come to understand and accept his feelings. Nia's jealousy reached a boiling point when she saw Zayn and Teta laughing together in the garden. She couldn't stand the thought of losing Zayn to a mere housegirl. Determined to get rid of Teta, Nia began to plot ways to drive her away from Zayn's life. She knew that her wealthy status and influence could be used to her advantage. One day, Nia invited herself to Zayn's mansion under the guise of discussing their future. She brought up their families, plans, expectations, and how their union would strengthen both families' ties. Zayn listened politely, but remained non-committal. His thoughts were occupied with Teta, and he couldn't bring himself to promise Nia anything. Frustrated, Nia decided to take matters into her own hands. She cornered Teta in the kitchen and issued a stern warning. "Stay away from Zayn, or you'll regret it," she hissed, her eyes cold and menacing. Teta, confused and frightened, tried to avoid any further confrontation with Nia, but the tension between them continued to grow. Nia's visits to the mansion became more frequent. She would find excuses to be around, watching Zayn and Teta interact. Each time she saw them together, her jealousy intensified. She couldn't understand why Zayn would be interested in someone so beneath their social standing. Her anger fueled her determination to remove Teta from the picture. Zayn remained oblivious to the brewing conflict between Nia and Teta. His feelings for Teta continued to deepen, and he was determined to show her that they could have a future together. Despite the obstacles in their path, Zayn believed in the power of their love to overcome any challenge. Nia's frustration grew as her attempts to sway Zayn back to her side failed. She began to realize that her usual charms and manipulations were ineffective against the genuine bond forming between Zayn and Teta. Desperate to win Zayn back, Nia decided to escalate her efforts, convinced that she had to protect her future with Zayn at any cost. As the days passed, Zayn could no longer hide his feelings for Teta. He sought her out in the quiet corners of the mansion, hoping to find moments alone with her. One evening, while they were alone in the kitchen, Zayn decided to confess his love once more. "Teta, I can't stop thinking about you," Zayn said, his voice filled with emotion. "I know we're from different worlds, but I can't ignore my feelings. I love you, Teta, and I want to be with you." Teta's heart raced. She listened to Zayn's words. She had developed feelings for him as well, but she was afraid of the consequences. "Zayn, this is impossible," she replied, her voice trembling. "Your family would never accept me. We can't be together." Zayn took her hands in his eyes pleading. "I don't care about what anyone else thinks. I just want to be with you. Please, Teta, give us a chance." Teta felt torn between her love for Zayn and the reality of their situation. Despite her fears, Zayn's sincerity touched her heart. She couldn't deny her feelings any longer, but the thought of the challenges ahead filled her with dread. Teta knew their love would face immense obstacles, but she found herself wanting to believe in Zayn's promises. Their conversations became more frequent and intimate. Zayn shared his dreams and aspirations, while Teta revealed her fears and hopes for a better future. The more they talked, the more they realized how much they had in common. Zane's determination to break down the barriers between them grew stronger each day. Meanwhile, Nia continued her attempts to win Zane back. She noticed the growing closeness between Zane and Teta and felt a deepening sense of urgency. Nia's jealousy turned into desperation as she realized that Zane's feelings for Teta were genuine and unwavering. One evening, Nia confronted Zane. "Why are you wasting your time with her?" she demanded, her voice tinged with anger. "Hurt. She can never give you what I can." Zane looked at Nia, his expression resolute. "I care about Teta, and my feelings for her are real. This is not about wealth or status, it's about love." Nia's eyes filled with tears as she realized that Zane's heart was truly with Teta. "You're making a mistake," she whispered, before turning and leaving the room. Despite the confrontation, Zane remained undeterred. He knew that his love for Teta was worth fighting for, and he was willing to face any challenge to be with her. He promised himself that he would protect their love at all costs. Teta, although still fearful of the repercussions, began to open up more to Zane. She allowed herself to imagine a future where they could be together, free from societal constraints. Their bond grew stronger, and they found solace in each other's company. As they navigated the complexities of their relationship, Zane and Teta realized that their love was a rare and precious gift, worth every struggle and sacrifice. Nia's jealousy turned into a desperate scheme to win Zane back. She decided to take a drastic step to ensure Teta would be out of Zane's life forever. She knew that Zane's mother disapproved of Teta and decided to use this to her advantage. One evening, Nia visited Zane's mother and shared her concerns about Teta's growing influence on Zane. "She's just a house girl, yet she thinks she can win Zane's heart," Nia said, feigning concern. "You need to do something before it's too late." Zane's mother, already suspicious of Teta, took Nia's words to heart. She decided to confront Teta and put an end to the budding relationship. The next day, she called Teta into her office and made it clear that her presence in Zane's life was unwelcome. "You have no place in this family," she said coldly. "Stay away from my son or face the consequences." Teta was devastated. She knew that Zane's mother held the power to ruin her life, and the threat left her feeling hopeless. The pressure from Zane's family and Nia's schemes made Teta question whether their love could survive. She felt trapped, torn between her love for Zane and the overwhelming forces against them. Nia's visits to the mansion became more frequent. She would find excuses to be around, watching Zane and Teta interact. Each time she saw them together, her jealousy intensified. She couldn't understand why Zane would be interested in someone so beneath their social standing. Her anger fueled her determination to remove Teta from the picture. Nia devised a plan. She approached Teta one afternoon, her demeanor deceptively friendly. "I know you're trying to do what's best for your mother," Nia began, voice sweet. "But being with Zane will only bring you trouble. I can help you, Teta. I can provide for your mother's medical needs, but you must leave Zane." Teta, overwhelmed and desperate to help her mother, listened intently. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I'll pay for all your mother's expenses," Nia offered. "But you have to leave Zane and never come back." Teta was torn. She loved Zane deeply, but the promise of help for her ailing mother was too tempting to ignore. She reluctantly agreed to Nia's terms, believing she had no other choice. That evening, Teta packed her belongings and left a note for Zane, explaining that she could no longer stay. Her heart shattered as she walked away from the mansion, leaving behind the man she loved. She hoped that Zane would understand her decision, even though it broke both of their hearts. Nia watched Teta leave, a satisfied smile on her face. She believed that she had finally won, that Zane would return to her once Teta was out of the picture. But the depth of Zane's love for Teta was something she had gravely underestimated. Despite the growing tensions, Zane continued to pursue Teta. One sunny afternoon, Zane and Nia were sitting by the pool, reminiscing about their childhood. Teta approached with drinks, presence unsettling Nia. As Zane took a call from Femi, Nia saw her chance to act. She turned to Teta with a malicious glint in her eye. "Stay away from Zane," she warned. "You don't belong in his world." Before Teta could respond, Nia pushed her into the pool. Teta, unable to swim, flailed in the water, crying for help. Zane, hearing the commotion, rushed over and pulled her to safety. When Zayn asked Teta what happened, she chose to protect Nia. "I just slipped," she lied, her eyes avoiding his. Zayn's concern for Teta only grew, deepening his resolve to be with her. He couldn't understand why Teta was being secretive, but his instincts told him there was more to the story. Nia watched from a distance, satisfied with her actions. She believed that this incident would drive a wedge between Zayn and Teta. However, Zayn's determination to protect Teta only grew stronger. Couldn't ignore the feelings he had for her, and he vowed to uncover the truth, find her fear. As the days passed, Zayn became more protective of Teta. He made sure she was never alone when Nia was around. Zayn's mother noticed the growing closeness between her son and the housegirl and grew increasingly concerned. She decided it was time to take drastic measures to separate them. One evening, Zayn's mother confronted Teta in the kitchen. "I know what's going on between you and my son," she said coldly. "You have no place in this family. Leave, or I will make your life unbearable." Teta, already shaken by the pool incident, felt cornered. She didn't know what to do. Pressure from Nia and Zayn's mother was overwhelming, and she felt herself being pushed to the brink. She wanted to stay and fight for her love, but the fear of retribution was too strong. Zayn, unaware of the full extent of the threats against Teta, continued to express his love and commitment to her. He believed that their love could overcome any obstacle, but he didn't realize the gravity of the situation Teta was facing. He sensed her growing distress but couldn't understand its source. One day, Zayn took Teta aside. "Teta, I love you, and I want to be with you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Please don't let anyone come between us." Teta, tears in her eyes, nodded. "I love you too, Zayn," she whispered. "There are things you don't understand. I'm scared." Zayn held her close, vowing to protect her from any harm. He knew that their journey wouldn't be easy. He was determined to fight for their love. Little did he know that the battle ahead would test their love and resilience in ways they never imagined. Days turned into weeks, and Zayn's feelings for Teta only grew stronger. Couldn't get her out of his mind. He invited her to his room one evening, under the pretense of discussing her work. Overwhelmed by his emotions, Zayn seduced Teta, and their secret affair began. Their stolen moments were filled with passion and whispered promises. Zayn's mother, always observant, noticed the growing closeness between her son and the housegirl. Her suspicions were soon confirmed when she saw Zayn teaching Teta how to swim, their interactions filled with a tenderness that couldn't be hidden. Furious, Zayn's mother confronted him. "You cannot be with her," she declared. "She is not one of us. End this madness, or I will." Zayn, torn between his love for Teta and his family's expectations, felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Teta, aware of the societal pressures and Zayn's family's disapproval, felt trapped in their secret relationship. She loved Zayn, but the fear of being discovered and the consequences that would follow loomed over her. Despite the risks, their love for each other kept them together, even as the walls closed in around them. Nia, noticing the subtle changes in Zayn's behavior, grew more suspicious. She saw the way he looked at Teta, the gentle touches and lingering glances. Her jealousy turned to rage, and she vowed to uncover the truth. One evening, she followed Zayn and Teta to the garden, where they shared a quiet moment. Nia watched as they kissed, heartbreaking. The next day, Nia confronted Teta. "I know what's going on between you and Zayn," she spat, her eyes blazing with anger. "You need to leave, or I will ruin you." Teta, shaken by Nia's threat, tried to maintain her composure. "I have no intention of leaving," she replied. "Voice steady. Zayn and I love each other." Nia's eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that," she said, storming off. She knew she had to act quickly if she wanted to separate them. She approached Zayn's mother, telling her everything she had seen. "They are carrying on a secret affair," Nia said, her voice filled with venom. "You need to put an end to this." Zayn's mother, already suspicious, was furious. She confronted Zayn again, demanding that he end his relationship with Teta. "You are throwing away everything for a housegirl," he said, her voice cold and unforgiving. "I won't allow it." Zayn, torn between his love for Teta and his loyalty to his family, stood his ground. "I love her," he said firmly. "Nothing you say or do will change that." His mother, realizing the depth of his resolve, decided to take matters into her own hands. As Zayn and Teta continued their secret affair, the pressure around them intensified. They knew their love would face immense challenges. They were determined to fight for it. Their bond grew stronger, and they clung to each other, hoping to withstand the storm that was brewing around them. Zayn's business obligations took him abroad for several months, leaving Teta behind. During his absence, his mother saw an opportunity to sever the relationship. She confronted Teta, offering her money to leave Zayn. Teta, her pride wounded, refused. The situation grew more tense as Zayn's mother increased her efforts to drive Teta away. Soon after, Teta discovered she was pregnant. When Zayn's mother learned of this, he was furious. Teta, heartbroken and desperate, returned to her sick mother, struggling to make ends meet. Nia, seeing an opportunity to remove Teta from Zayn's life permanently, stepped in. She approached Teta with a plan. "I'll pay for all your mother's medical expenses," Nia offered, her voice smooth and persuasive, "but you must leave Zayn and never come back." Teta, overwhelmed by the turn of events and the promise of help for her ailing mother, reluctantly agreed to Nia's terms. She believed she had no other choice. Promise of financial support for her mother's treatment was too tempting to ignore. She felt trapped and alone, having to choose between her love for Zayn and her mother's well-being. Nia moved Teta and her mother to a distant town, convincing Teta to change her number and lie to Zayn about her circumstances. "Tell him you found someone else, that you're happy now," Nia instructed. Teta, though reluctant, complied. She hoped that Zayn would understand her decision one day, even though it broke both of their hearts. Zayn returned home to find Teta gone. He was devastated and confused, unable to comprehend why she had left without a word. He searched for her, desperate to find answers. She seemed to have vanished without a trace. Zayn's mother feigned ignorance, while Nia pretended to console him, hiding her satisfaction. Teta, now living in a new town, struggled with her decision. She missed Zayn terribly, but the thought of her mother receiving the care she needed gave her some comfort. She hoped that one day, Zayn would forgive her for the lies she had told. Meanwhile, Zayn, heartbroken and determined, vowed to find Teta and uncover the truth, no matter how long it took. Couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, and he was determined to get to the bottom of it. Upon returning home, Zayn was determined to find Teta and understand why she had disappeared. His family, meanwhile, was planning his wedding to Nia. Zayn's search led him to discover the truth about Teta's pregnancy and his mother's betrayal. Furious and heartbroken, he confronted his mother. "How could you do this to us?" he demanded, his voice filled with anger and sorrow. "Teta is carrying my child, and you drove her away." His mother's eyes were cold and unyielding. "I did what I had to do to protect our family's honor," she replied. "You will marry Nia and forget about that girl." Zayn, however, was determined to find Teta and set things right. With the help of his friend Femi, he began to track her down, piecing together the clues that would lead him back to the woman he loved. He refused to let his mother's actions dictate his future, and was resolved to fight for his love. Days turned into weeks as Zayn relentlessly pursued any lead he could find. He visited Teta's old neighborhood, asking questions and following any hint of her whereabouts. His determination was unwavering, fueled by the love he felt for Teta and the need to make things right. Meanwhile, Nia grew increasingly anxious. She sensed Zayn's resolve and knew that her secret was at risk of being exposed. She attempted to distract Zayn with wedding plans, but he remained distant and preoccupied. "Zayn, why can't you just move on?" Nia pleaded one evening. "We have a future together." Zayn's response was firm. "I can't move on, Nia. I love Teta, and I need to find her." His words stung Nia, but she couldn't sway him from his mission. Nia's fear turned to desperation as she realized that Zayn's love for Teta was unbreakable. Finally, a breakthrough came. Femi found out through a mutual acquaintance that Teta had been seen in a small town several miles away. Zayn didn't waste any time. He packed his bags and headed to the town, his heart racing with anticipation and hope. He knew this was his chance to make things right. When Zayn arrived in the town, he went door to door, asking if anyone had seen Teta. His persistence paid off when an elderly woman pointed him in the direction of a modest house on the outskirts of town. Zayn's heart pounded as he approached the house, unsure of what he would find. As he knocked on the door, Teta answered, eyes widening in shock and disbelief. "Zane, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I've been looking for you everywhere," he replied, his eyes filled with love and determination. "I know everything, Teta. I know about the pregnancy, the lies, and the sacrifices you made." Teta's eyes filled with tears. As she stepped aside to let Zane in, they sat down, and she explained everything that had happened since she left. Zane listened intently, his heart breaking for the woman he loved. He realized the extent of the sacrifices she had made for her mother, and the pain she had endured. Zane took her hands in his. "I love you, Teta, and I'm here to take you back. We'll face this together, no matter what it takes." Teta, her heart overwhelmed with emotion, nodded. "I love you too, Zane. I never stopped loving you." With their hearts united once more, Zane and Teta vowed to overcome the obstacles that had torn them apart. They knew their journey wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to build a future together, no matter the challenges they faced. Chapter 11. The Reunion. Zane and Teta sat together in the modest living room of Teta's new home, the weight of their separation hanging heavily in the air. Teta's eyes were filled with tears as she recounted the events that had led her to leave. "I didn't want to go, Zane. I had no choice. Your mother and Nia made sure of that." Zane's grip on her hands tightened. "I know, Teta. I know everything now, and I'm so sorry for what you had to go through alone." His voice was filled with regret and determination. "But I'm here now, and I won't let them come between us again." Teta nodded, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and apprehension. "It's not going to be easy, Zane. Your family, they won't accept me." Zane shook his head. "I don't care about their acceptance. I only care about you and our child." He reached out, gently placing a hand on her growing belly. "We are going to face this together, Teta. I promise you." Teta's tears flowed freely as she leaned into Zane's embrace. "I've missed you so much," she whispered. "I've missed you too, Teta, more than you can imagine," Zane replied, his voice breaking with emotion. They stayed like that for a while, holding each other close, finding comfort in their shared love and renewed hope. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions and plans. Zane stayed with Teta, helping her and her mother with whatever they needed. He took on the role of caretaker, providing support and comfort. His presence brought a sense of security that Teta had longed for. Meanwhile, back in the village, Nia and Zane's mother were growing increasingly anxious. They had expected Zane to return and resume his duties. But his absence stretched on. Rumors began to circulate about Zane's quest to find Teta, and it wasn't long before Nia's fears were confirmed. Determined to protect her plans, Nia decided to confront Zane. She arrived at Teta's new home, her face set with determination. "Zane, we need to talk," she demanded, her voice cold and unyielding. Zane stepped outside, his expression firm. "There's nothing to talk about, Nia. I've made my decision. I'm staying with Teta and our child." Nia's eyes blazed with anger. "You're throwing away everything for her? What about our families? What about our future?" Zane shook his head. "Our future was never real, Nia. It was built on lies and manipulation. My future is with Teta and our child. I love her, and nothing you say will change that." Nia's face twisted with rage and desperation. "You'll regret this, Zane. You're making a huge mistake." "No, Nia. The mistake would be living a life without love, without Teta. Goodbye, Nia." Zane turned his back on her, walking back into the house where Teta waited, leaving Nia to fume in the wake of her failed schemes. Inside, Teta looked at Zane with a mixture of fear and hope. "What did she say?" she asked, her voice trembling. "She tried to convince me to leave you," Zane replied, taking Teta's hands in his. "But I told her the truth. You and our child are my future. We're going to face this together, no matter what." Teta's heart swelled with love and gratitude. "Thank you, Zane. I was so afraid." "You don't have to be afraid anymore, Teta," Zane said softly. "We're in this together, and nothing will tear us apart again." With their hearts united and their resolve strengthened, Zane and Teta began to plan for their future. They knew the road ahead would be difficult. They were ready to face it together, hand in hand, their love as their guiding light.
"I love her, and she is carrying my child," he said firmly. "I will not abandon them." His parents were shocked and furious. Zane remained resolute. "You cannot be serious," his mother exclaimed. This girl has brought nothing but trouble. You are throwing away your future for a house girl. Zayn stood tall, his voice unwavering. Teta is not just a house girl. She is the woman I love, and she is the mother of my child. I will not let your prejudices dictate my life. Meanwhile, Nia was devastated by the news. Her dreams of marrying Zayn were shattered, and she realized the extent of her own manipulations and deceit. She tried one last time to convince Zayn to reconsider. Please, Zayn, she begged, tears streaming down her face. We can still have the life we planned. Don't throw it all away. Zayn looked at Nia, his expression filled with determination and pity. I'm sorry, Nia. I cared for you once, but my heart belongs to Teta. You need to let go and move on. In a moment of vulnerability, Nia approached Teta, seeking forgiveness. I was wrong, she admitted, her voice trembling. I let my jealousy and pride drive me to do terrible things. Please, forgive me. Teta, her heart full of compassion, forgave Nia. She understood the pain of unrequited love and the lengths people would go to protect their hearts. I forgive you, Nia, Teta said softly. We all make mistakes. It's time to move forward. Zayn's parents, especially his mother, were not easily swayed. They refused to accept Teta, fearing the impact on their family's reputation. You are making a grave mistake, Zayn, his mother warned. Think about the consequence. Zayn took a deep breath, his resolve unwavering. I've thought about it, and I know what I'm doing. My life with Teta and our child is worth any consequence. I will not abandon them for the sake of appearances. Seeing Zayn's determination, his father finally spoke up. Son, this is truly what you want, then we will support you. It won't be easy, but if you believe in your love, then we must respect that. Zayn's mother, though reluctant, saw the unwavering resolve in her son's eyes. She realized that fighting against his love for Teta would only drive him further away. With a heavy heart, she nodded. I still don't approve, but I won't stand in your way. Just promise me you'll be careful. Relieved, Zayn embraced his father and then turned to his mother. Thank you. I know this isn't easy for you, but I appreciate your understanding. Nia, accepting the reality, decided to move on. I hope you find happiness, Zayn, she said quietly before leaving the mansion. With the confrontation behind them, Zayn and Teta faced the future together, knowing they had the support of Zayn's family. However reluctant, they began to make plans for their life together. Excited and hopeful despite the challenges ahead, their love had triumphed over deceit and prejudice, and they were ready to build a future together. As they stood hand in hand, they knew that their journey was just beginning. But with their love and determination, they could overcome anything. With their hearts united and their resolve strengthened, Zayn and Teta began to plan for their future. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but they were ready to face it together, hand in hand, their love as their guiding light. Despite the initial turmoil, Zayn and Teta's wedding became a celebration of true love and forgiveness. The ceremony was a beautiful blend of their cultures and traditions, symbolizing the union of their two worlds. Friends and family gathered to witness their vows, their hearts filled with joy and hope. The day of the wedding dawned bright and clear, sky a brilliant blue. Teta, dressed in a stunning gown that combined modern elegance with traditional African elements, looked radiant. Her mother, now healthier thanks to Nia's earlier assistance, stood proudly by her side. Zayn, in a tailored suit, waited at the altar, his eyes never leaving Teta as she walked down the aisle. As Teta walked down the aisle, her heart swelled with love for Zayn. She knew that their journey had been difficult, but it had only made their bond stronger. They were ready to face the future together, united in their love and determination. Every step she took was filled with memories of their struggles and triumphs, each one bringing her closer to the man she loved. The ceremony was filled with heartfelt moments and touching speeches. Zayn's father welcomed Teta into the family with a sincere speech, acknowledging the challenges they had faced and expressing hope for their future. His words brought tears to many eyes, including his wife's, who nodded in reluctant agreement. Zayn's mother, though still grappling with her feelings, managed to smile, her heart softening as she saw the genuine love between her son and his bride. When it was time for the vows, Zayn and Teta looked into each other's eyes, their love and commitment evident to everyone present. Teta, Zayn began, his voice steady and filled with emotion. From the moment I met you, my life changed. Your strength, your kindness, and your love have made me a better man. I promise to stand by you, to love you, and to protect you for the rest of my life. Teta's eyes glistened with tears as she spoke her vows. Zayn, you have shown me what true love means. Despite our differences and the challenges we've faced, your love has been my strength. I promise to love you, to support you, and to cherish every moment we have together. With their vows exchanged, the officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Zayn and Teta kissed, sealing their commitment to each other amidst cheers and applause from their loved one. The moment was magical, testament to their enduring love and the trials they had overcome. The reception that followed was a joyous affair, filled with laughter, music, and dance. Traditional African drumming and dancing blended seamlessly with modern elements, creating a vibrant and festive atmosphere. Friends and family came together to celebrate the union, their differences set aside in the spirit of love and unity. Mia, who had decided to attend despite her heartbreak, watched from a distance, a mix of emotions playing on her face. She approached Teta during the reception, a tentative smile on her lips. "Congratulations, Teta," she said quietly. "I hope you and Zayn find all the happiness in the world." Teta, her heart full of compassion, embraced Naya. "Thank you, Nia. I hope you find happiness too." As the night drew to a close, Zayn and Teta shared a dance under the stars. The love they felt for each other radiated, their bond stronger than ever. They knew their journey was just beginning. They were ready to face it together, united in their love and commitment. The future was bright, and they looked forward to building a life filled with joy, laughter, and endless possibilities. With their hearts united and their resolve strengthened, Zayn and Teta began their new life together, confident that their love would guide them through any challenge. They were ready to build a future filled with happiness, surrounded by the love and support of their family and friends. As Zayn and Teta settled into their new life together, they welcomed the birth of their daughter. They named her Nia, in honor of the friendship and forgiveness that had brought their families together. Their love continued to grow, overcoming the challenges that life threw at them. Their home became a sanctuary filled with laughter, love, and the promise of a bright future. Zayn's parents, having come to accept Teta as part of their family, embraced their new roles as grandparents. They found joy in their granddaughter, and their hearts softened as they witnessed the happiness she brought into their lives. Nia, too, found her own happiness. She and Femi, who had long admired her from afar, began to build a life together. Their wedding was a joyous occasion, attended by friends and family who had witnessed their journey of redemption and growth. Nia, now understanding the true meaning of love and forgiveness, was genuinely happy for Zayn and Teta. The couple's bond grew stronger with each passing day. They faced challenges with unwavering support for each other, knowing that their love was their greatest strength. Zayn continued to work hard, balancing his responsibilities while ensuring he spent quality time with his family. Teta, with Zayn's support, pursued her dream of starting a small business, something she had always aspired to do. One sunny afternoon, as they sat in their garden, watching their daughter play, Zayn turned to Teta. "I never imagined my life could be this perfect," he said, his eyes filled with love. "You and Nia are my everything." Teta smiled, heart full. "We've come a long way, Zayn. I'm grateful for every moment." Their life together was a testament to the power of love and forgiveness. They had faced numerous obstacles, but their love had triumphed over every challenge. They found joy in the simple moments, in the laughter of their daughter, and in the quiet strength of their bond. Zayn's parents, who had once opposed their union, now cherished the family that had been formed. They often spent time with their granddaughter, their hearts filled with a love they had never anticipated. Family gatherings were filled with warmth and joy, a stark contrast to the tension that had once existed. Nia and Femi, now happily married, visited often. Their friendship with Zayn and Teta grew, and the four of them shared many happy times together. Forgiveness and understanding that had been extended brought a sense of peace and unity, benefited everyone involved. As the years passed, Zayn and Teta continued to build their life together, their love growing deeper with each challenge they overcame. They supported each other's dreams and celebrated each other's successes. Their daughter, Nia, grew up in a home filled with love, learning the values of compassion, resilience, and forgiveness from her parents. One evening, as they sat together reflecting on their journey, Zayn took Teta's hand. "We've built something beautiful, Teta. I'm so proud of us." Teta nodded, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "Our love has brought us here, Zayn, and it will carry us forward, no matter what comes our way." With their hearts united and their resolve strengthened, Zayn and Teta looked to the future with hope and anticipation. They knew that life would continue to present challenges, but they were confident that their love would guide them through. They were ready to face whatever came next, secure in the knowledge that their bond was unbreakable. The story of Zayn and Teta was one of true love and resilience, a testament to the power of forgiveness and the strength of the human spirit. As they embraced their new beginnings, they knew that their love would continue to grow, lighting the way for a future filled with endless possibility. As the story of Zayn, Teta, and Nia came to a close, the lessons they had learned along the way became clear. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes what we desire is not what we are meant to have. True love requires sacrifice, forgiveness, and understanding. By embracing these values, they overcame every obstacle and built a life filled with happiness and fulfillment. Community had watched their journey with keen interest. Their story had become a beacon of hope and inspiration for many. People spoke of the unwavering love between Zayn and Teta, and how it had triumphed over societal prejudices and personal insecurities. Their tale was a reminder that love, when true and pure, could withstand any storm. As Zayn, Teta, and their families gathered for a vacation by the seaside, they reflected on their journey. The sea breeze was warm and soothing, the waves lapping gently at the shore. Nia, now pregnant with Femi's child, felt a sense of peace and contentment. They had all learned the importance of forgiveness and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. One evening, as the sun set over the ocean, casting a golden glow on the water, Zayn and Teta sat together, watching their daughter Nia play in the sand. "We've come a long way," Zayn said softly, his arm around Teta. "I couldn't have imagined a better life." Teta smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. "Because we believed in each other and our love, we never gave up, even when things seemed impossible." Their friends and family gathered around a bonfire that night, sharing stories and laughter. The atmosphere was filled with warmth and camaraderie. Nia and Femi, expecting their first child, joined the group, their faces glowing with happiness. It was a scene of unity and joy, testament to the power of love and forgiveness. Zayn's parents, who had once opposed the union, now cherished every moment with their family. They had grown to love Teta as their own daughter and took great joy in their granddaughter. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable had been broken down by understanding and acceptance. As the night grew darker, Zayn stood up to address the group. "I want to thank all of you for being here, for supporting us, for believing in our love. Our journey has taught us that love and forgiveness are the strongest forces in the world. They can heal wounds, bridge divides, and create unbreakable bonds." He turned to Teta, his eyes filled with love. "Teta, you have shown me what true love means. I promise to continue cherishing and protecting our love every day of my life." Teta, tears of joy in her eyes, nodded. "I promise to stand by you, love you, and to face every challenge together." Their daughter, little Nia, ran up to them, giggling as she wrapped her arms around her parents. The sight of their happy, loving family filled everyone's hearts with warmth and hope. The moral of Zayn and Teta's story was clear. Love transcends all barriers, and true happiness comes from embracing love and forgiveness. They had faced numerous challenges, but their unwavering belief in each other had guided them through. Their journey was a reminder that no matter how difficult the path, love and understanding could lead to a life filled with joy and fulfillment. As they watched the stars twinkle in the night sky, Zayn and Teta knew that their love story was far from over. They had built a strong foundation, and their love would continue to grow, lighting the way for future generations. Their story was one of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of love. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for more captivating tales from TR World.